Hello and welcome to Banter and Chill with your host, Inni Baby. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Banter and Chill podcast. If you can hear the sound of my voice, before I dive into anything else, I want to know, how are you? How have you been? How's life been treating you? What has been the highlight of your life lately? In everything, Sha, I hope you're practicing gratitude because you just have to thank God for life, man. Alhamdulillah for everything. But yeah, so if you're a new listener, thank you very much for tuning in. If you're an old timer, I genuinely appreciate the love and the support. That being said, this week's shout out goes to every single person who shares the podcast, who listens, who gives me feedback and reviews about episodes they listen to. I genuinely appreciate it. So last week we talked about, not last week, on the last episode we talked about listening skills and how to do it right. And I know I promised, as always, I promised things I could not do. I did say I was going to the next episode was going to be about red flags. We're going to deep dive into different red flags. It's going to be like a series. But I changed my mind, and so I'm going to continue on that Do It Right series. So today I'll be talking about speaking skills instead. To clarify a few things, when it comes to language, there are 4 parts of language skills basically. There's speaking, there's writing, there's listening, and there's reading. But when it comes to communication actually has so many components. But I'm fixating on the most important 3 of them all. Communication has the speaker, the idea or thought being communicated. There's the medium of communication. There's what is then said, what is actually said. There is the recipient. There's how the recipient receives or perceives whatever you say. And finally, feedback from whatever the recipient has heard. So now the focus for me right now is on communication. So I'm focusing on speaking, listening, and actually giving feedback. So today's episode we're talking about speaking skills mostly, and yeah, this is going to embody speaking as giving feedback, or as just not being the one initiating the conversation. There's speaking in terms of initiating the conversation, there's speaking in terms of giving feedback on what was communicated to you. Then there's also the context. We're in a digital age right now. There's also the context of text where we're chatting. That could also be communication, although it's not vocal or face-to-face or verbal. But yeah, that is what we're going to talk about today. So stick around, we'll dive in right now. So an American writer, Dale Carnegie, famously said, there are 3 speeches for everyone you actually gave. There's the one you practiced, there's the one you gave, and there's the one you wished you gave. So this is a testament of how important it is to have speaking skills in this day and age. But first of all, what is speaking? Speaking is the action of conveying information or expressing one's feelings or thoughts in speech. Like I said, in today's world, we have to account for the fact that speaking is not necessarily vocal. It could be texting. And although, texting might not be considered as speaking because it's missing the vocal part, in the context of having conversation, texting between people can also be considered as speaking. We also need to account for people who have speech impairment, maybe people who are deaf or people who cannot hear. They use sign language and all. It's all part of because they need to convey ideas, and then they need to understand the idea being conveyed to them. So it's all part of speaking. It's all part of comprehension as well for them. Long story short, why is speaking important? Honestly, speaking is one thing, but effective speaking skills are another. Now, speaking skills are techniques that enable a speaker to convey a message effectively. Let's say I walk up to you now and I say, they are calling you. That doesn't make any sense, except there is maybe context already, and both of us know who the day is. but ordinarily that sentence doesn't make any sense. But if I come and say, "Hi, Sharon asked me to call you," that actually makes more sense. I was able to convey my message effectively. So why is it important to convey your message effectively? Number one, speaking actually brings clarity of actions and thoughts to reduce misunderstanding and conflict. This is actually very true. That's why I'm always of the opinion that before anything goes south, please talk it out. People are not in your mind. I'm not in your mind, you're not in mine. And good thoughts, good intentions do not always communicate good actions or good words. So it could be like, I did not mean any harm, but the way I said it, it could look like, okay, I'm trying to tussle, when actually I'm not even trying to catch hands from you. So speaking brings clarity. It helps you understand where this person was coming from and the person's intention behind certain things that could cause conflict. Speaking communicates feelings and emotions. So there's no way you would know how I feel. There's no way you would know what I think about something if I do not open my mouth to say it. Speaking helps improve relationships, and it's not about romantic ones. It could be work relationships, the one with your friends, the one with your parents. Speaking can help improve all of these relationships for you. Now, as always, like the last one, I would give you do's and don'ts of speaking. But first of all, what do bad speakers do? To know that this person, their speaking skills is not it at all. How would you recognize the signs? First of all, they ramble on and on. I've said it before that people like the sound of their own voice. People don't cut, like the kind of slack they cut themselves, they don't cut other people that same kind of slack. They like to go on and on. And some people will be tired of another person's voice, but you ramble on and on, you don't give recipient the room to speak. Maybe you're talking to someone else and you're not even allowing them to talk. It's just you going on and on. Now, when you ramble on and on, you might even deviate from what the actual purpose of the conversation is. They can also be passive-aggressive or use sarcasm in their speaking. Now, if it is not a playful conversation, if it's something serious, there's no need for other snide remarks or snarky comments or, being sarcastic. You're basically trying to look for trouble. Let's just call it what it is. And it shows that you're a terrible speaker and you don't know how to use your words. That's just it. So if you always interrupt people when they talk, you're a terrible speaker. Now, I did mention this in terms of listening. So if you always interrupt people, you're a terrible listener. But if you don't let people speak, you're also a terrible speaker, because you said your own. Oh yeah, let me talk my own now. You want to jump in, I will staple your mouth shut. So if you interrupt people, you don't give them room to talk, let's just call it what it is. You're a terrible speaker. So moving on to the do's and don'ts of speaking. I'm trying to be fast. I don't want to promise that this one will be short, because every time I promise and then the episodes do not become short at all. But I'm trying to rush through this one. So I would take the do's first before I enter the don'ts. So here are some things you want to do. Pay attention to who you're talking to. Basically, do an audience analysis. It doesn't matter if this person you're talking to is somebody you've known for years. Do an audience analysis. Break down what you know about this person, how this person communicates, how they receive information, what method of communication they prefer. All right. Know the words that would rub them a certain way. Know what to say, know how to say. You know how before you go out, especially I think this is a black thing for black people. Before you go out, 3 weeks ahead, you are very serious in what you need to say to your parents to ask for permission. And you know how you have to be dropping constant reminders until the D-Day. That is something we can all relate to, but that's an example of you doing an audience analysis, because you know you're going to talk to, you know how to present the matter. The reason why most times when you speak, it doesn't come off the way you want it to is because you do not sit down to properly analyze who you're going to talk to and the best way to address the person. So as I said, it doesn't matter who you're going to talk to. It could be somebody you've known for years. Always do an audience analysis, especially if it's a big conversation, if it's a major conversation. Not the one that both of you be calling each other to call each other idiot, goat, bastard. No, that's play. You can do it anyhow. But if it's a serious conversation, always do an audience analysis before you dive into it. Secondly, focus on the issue, not the person. Do not make your speeches personal or try to strike low blows. So if you need to express your thought on something, do not turn it into an attack on the person. It can start looking like unfair criticism. One thing about me is I'm not going to take constructive criticism from somebody who has not constructed anything. So if you're having a conversation and you need to address an issue maybe between us, make it about the issue, not about me. This is something that 9 out of 10 times is mostly, no, let me not say that because it's not backed by any research at all, but let me just throw it out there that it's mostly men that feel like this thing. I don't know if you guys have heard that popular thing they say that, oh, women are very emotional, women don't like the truth. Actually, there is a time and place, there is context to it, there is emotional intelligence to be considered. You don't just open your mouth and say anything, anyhow, anywhere, and then come off as, oh, that's how I am, I'm blunt, I say the truth. You people want me to cuddle you want me to pet you don't like to hear the truth as it is. You lack emotional intelligence. Let's just call it what it is. Alright? As I said, that I was with someone once who felt the need to scold me in public in front of strangers. Now, even if it was in front of people we know, I did tell this person that, Bobrisky, I don't like what just happened. Whatever needs to be said, we can wait until we're inside. As long as I'm not holding gun to shoot you, I don't see why you feel the need to scold me in public. We can always wait until we're inside. Now, it was not made to look like I was being problematic for saying that, but the thing is, two truths can exist. That's not how to speak to somebody, especially in the midst of strangers. Like I said, there's a time and place, and most times people forget that whenever they're having a conversation. The issue you're trying to address is there, fine, but don't try to make it an attack on the person you're speaking to. Alright, and following up with that, I'll follow up with that shortly. But yeah, please remember this point because I would come back to it. Then you need to also remember that people cannot read your mind. Don't communicate in a half-assed way. You're upset about something, instead of just to say what it is, you start sending cryptic messages. Okay, yeah, no problem, it's cool. Suddenly the vibe is off. You're just withdrawing and you're being mean somehow because you're upset. It's okay to want to communicate later. Maybe you would get back to the topic later. But if that is what it's going to be, then tell the person that, okay, I don't feel like talking right now, instead of going full wickedness on them and just ignoring them. As I was saying, people cannot read your mind. They don't know what's happening there. Unless you open your mouth to say it, I will never know. I'm not a witch. Even if I were a witch, I would not waste it on reading your mind to find out what is going on in your head. Alright? You also want to leave space and time for input. Don't present thoughts or ideas in a final manner. If it is a conversation between you and somebody, ask for feedback, ask if they understand what is being said, ask if they have anything to add. Don't present ideas in such a way that it's looking like my word is final, my word is law. Your word is not yeah and amen, you are not God. Alright? So when you're talking to somebody, leave space for time. And sometimes when I have something to say, when I go with the mindset of, okay, I will let it all out and anything else happen will happen. Well, that is good. You should also open your mind to the possibility of compromise, of this person now shedding new light. Maybe they show you a blind spot you did not see before. But yeah, leave space for input. Don't present thoughts or ideas in a final manner, making it look like, okay, what you say is all that will go. Alright, it's giving control freak. But yeah, respond to all the points raised. Do not ignore any. I will raise 3 points. You will answer only one and leave the remaining one. Who do you think you are? If you don't have a response for a particular one, you state that. But generally, please respond to everything that is raised or that is said to you. Then maintain eye contact, especially this is for physical communication. When you guys are face to face, try to maintain eye contact. Body language is very important. Your body language should be open. Don't look like don't look like, okay, you want to fight this person, or your body language can betray if you're already angry or if you're hurting or this and that, and it can come in the way of how you pass across your message. All right, so be very mindful of your body language and try to maintain eye contact, but not too much though, not too much. Some of you want to enter somebody's eye, you'll be looking. Don't you know the eyes are the window to the soul? Why are you looking into my window like that? Step back a little bit, okay? Thank you. Then some things you should not do when it comes to effective speaking. Do not use universal statements like, oh, you always do this. Because then you're labeling the person already and it looks like you're keeping scores. Now let's draw back to some of the things that you should do. For number 2, I said you should focus on the issue and not the person. When you use universal statements, you're labeling the person, you're taking low blows, and you're focusing on the person, not the issue. Oh, you always do this thing. I always tell you I don't like this, but you always used to do it. The person's probably done it like once or twice. That might be one too many times for you, but making it look like, okay, this is the sum total of their character, it does take its toll on the person emotionally and mentally. Now, I understand that it would be unfair for somebody to maybe hurt you and you're trying to communicate that, and you still have to now account for their emotions and their feelings. But come on, let's be logical. We're all human beings, all right? There's a place for emotional intelligence in conversations. You still have to be mindful of, what you're saying to the person, all right? So, also, when I say it looks like you're keeping scores, Nigerian women, not necessarily women, sharp, there are people who do that thing. They will tell you down to the date and time where you did this thing the last time. There are some people who don't communicate as it happens. So, somebody like me now, if you do something to me, I will not tell you that moment. Not like I'm saving it for later. I tend to sweep things under the rug a lot. But the thing is, if it now becomes too much, I've gone to my limit, you'll be surprised. I'll mention all of the times you've done the same thing and I've had to ignore it. While that is a bad character, I know I have bad character. I used to pray to God every day to help me. I have bad character, I know. But yeah, don't keep scores like me. And even if you're keeping scores, don't keep it to use it as comeback. Like I said, something can happen a lot of times before I finally feel the need to even address it. But some people, if it happens today, they will address it. If it happens tomorrow, they will address it and address the one that happened yesterday. If it should happen next week, they will address the one that happened next week. The one that's happening at that moment, they will address it and they will still address the past 2 you've done. So don't do that, please. It's not a nice thing to do to somebody if you're trying to speak to them. Also, don't assume you know what the other person means. You might think, oh, you're not asking enough questions. That's the actual truth. You're not asking enough questions, all right? Don't conclude. Somebody can say something. I remember this thing that was said on Twitter that you can come out and say, oh, I like spaghetti. And somebody will come out and say, what do you mean? Does that mean you do not like macaroni? Don't assume you know what someone means. If there is, let's say, because sometimes there could be gaps in communication, there could be gaps in speaking. If you need clarity, ask for it. That's basically the point. If you need clarity, ask for it before you now make your own comments on whatever is being said. Also, don't deflect. People do this by making complaints or accusations. There's also that whataboutism that people do. If you deflect, mostly using that whataboutism technique, you're refusing to take accountability. So, I say, oh, you did this to hurt me, and you're like, what about the other time that you did? Or, but you too, you did. Shut up. Close your mouth and listen to me speak. All right? You don't bring what I have done in the past as comeback for what you've done now. You're not being accountable for your actions. If you had a problem with something I had done, you should have said it. Don't come and steal my shine or try to shut me up because, okay, you did this and I'm complaining. So because I've done something else, maybe similar before that you did not think it was important to talk about until now, I should not talk about my own. Is that what you're trying to say? So don't do that. Don't deflect. I deflect a lot. I don't really use but or what about. No, I mostly deflect through jokes, sarcasm, and all that. I deflect a lot. But if you don't want to have the conversation, state it that, okay, I don't want to have this conversation. Is why I'm avoiding it. That's okay. Another thing to bear in mind is if you deflect because of avoidance of the problem or the issue, you're doing more harm than good. There are some things that honestly I would rather not address. I'd rather continue living in the dark. But the thing is, you're not doing yourself good by ignoring those things. It will boil over later and it will be a bigger problem. So why not just, even if you cannot address it in that moment, why not just tell this person that, okay, right now I cannot do this, but we can do this some other time. Like, I don't know, maybe we can talk about it later, but right now I cannot do it right now. That's better than deflecting or bringing up past, like, what about the time you did this? Or you two, you know that. Keep quiet, please. All right. I've already said don't forget body language, so remember that. Now, don't be overly emotional that you fail to convey your thoughts. When you're going to speak to somebody, have an outline of all the things you need to say. So even if you get, I think there's an episode on talking your shit, how to have difficult conversations, and after listening to this, you can go listen to that as well if you feel like it. Please feel like it. Anyways, I said earlier that you should have an outline of all the things you need to say. So even if you guys deviate from the path, you can always have, pointers to pull you back on the line of conversation. But yeah, when I say don't be overly emotional that you fail to convey your thoughts, so there are some of us that if we open our mouth to talk, we'll start crying. It happens, we'll start crying. If you're that kind of person, alright, keep it short. Don't ramble on and on, because you would get lost in the web you're creating for yourself. Web of emotions, web of feelings, web of thoughts. Alright. So if you're like us that would rather not talk because we just start crying, then try not to be overly emotional. Have an outline for the things you need to say and just run through all of them and then receive feedback. Alright. Even if you're angry, this is not just about crying. Even if you're angry, don't put that into your conversation. Now, whatever emotion it is you're feeling, don't bring that into the conversation. At least not too much, all right? Because it could take you away from the idea you're trying to pass. And if you're trying to tell somebody something because they annoyed you and you're bringing in your anger is the focus, I would fixate on that anger, all right? So secondly, don't use harsh words. This is very important. This one draws on the issue of focusing on the person and not the problem at hand. Now, you cannot, maybe you're angry or I don't know, you're sad or you're upset. You now want to try striking low blows. You want to use hurtful words. You want to draw as much blood as possible. You're being vengeful with your words. That is not a nice look on you, baby. It's borderline verbal abuse. Let's call it what it is. Do not start using harsh words on people, okay, because you're angry or because your emotions are getting the best of you. No. Because you're hurting the person you're talking to, and it's generally not a good look, especially if you care about the relationship you and the person have. I, for one, before I go as far as using harsh words, you just know that I don't care anymore. Like, the whole thing can die on the spot and I would not give 2 cents about it. But as much as possible, when I speak to people, I try not to use harsh words because I know it can come off a certain way and I would not want that. So don't use harsh words to insult people. And the worst of it is those ones that will use harsh words or use words that you generally cannot use on them. They'll not be like, oh, but I didn't mean it like that now. Oh, but I was playing now. Oh, you cannot take a joke. Or that's not what I said. That's what you said. Both of us know what you said. Both of us know, so stop lying. Alright? Do not be dishonest. It could be something as simple as a little white lie. It could be something bigger than that. But sometimes the truth is hard. Sometimes we lie to protect people. But you have to understand that lying in any form is a selfish thing to do. Sometimes we care about people enough to want to be selfish because we think, okay, if they find out this thing, they're going to run away or they're going to... Just take your chances and say the truth. It's easier said than done, no? It's easier said than done. But honestly, do not be dishonest. Throw all your cards on the table. Let the person make their decision off of it, okay? Okay, so I think that's everything I need to cover for this episode. I know everybody's happy wherever they are listening to this because this one is like, as of the time I'm recording, is like 24 minutes. So it means we're going to close early today. Yes, somebody say amen. The church is happy. But yeah, a few pointers in terms of communication, in terms of speaking rather. One, do not invalidate somebody's feelings. Now, this is for cases where you're responding to what you've been told. When you are opening your own mouth to talk, do not try to invalidate the other person's feelings or belittle what the person has just said to you. Don't do that. If that's what you plan to do, just keep quiet and swallow it. Also, when it comes to using universal statements, like you always do this, you're always like this, don't say stuff like that. Instead, you can say, okay, I felt this way, this type of way when you did this, or yeah, like when you did this, this was how it made me feel. or because you did this is how I felt. Don't like I already said, don't say okay, you always do this, you always do that. Try to change some of the words in your vocabulary, and I promise you speaking will be better for you. Interesting fact, I found out while researching that there are different types of speaking. I'm not going to dive into all of that because no, that's not the conversation for today, but that's homework for you. Can't find out about the different types of speaking there are. So I don't know, you can identify the one you want to use and practice it and be better at it. So it's time for the big roundup. Okay, so I basically rambled through this entire episode. I recorded it really, really late. I'm not going to tell you how late I'm recording this thing, but it's like really, really, really late. Forgive me for that. I apologize. Anyways, thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, I'm convinced you just want to marry me. You don't know how to say it, but I really appreciate that you're always listening to me talk in your ear. Now, as you listen to this episode, please do me a favor and share it as you're listening. Don't do it after because you might forget. Do it right now as you're listening. Share the episode, tell somebody about it, give me feedback. Did you enjoy this episode? Did you learn something new? Please, I am curious to know. Before I go on and keep saying what doesn't make sense, I would like to sign out right now. So once again, thank you for listening. I would see you next time. Maybe for the next episode, we'll actually now do that deep dive into red flags. It's either I find something else to do or finally have to do it. I just don't have the power, the strength to start sending out questionnaires, and that's where my laziness is coming from. But yeah, we'll meet here again same time next week. If you love the communication series, please let me know. If you want me to talk about something else under communication, I feel like listening and speaking basically covers it, because communication is basically listening, speaking, comprehension. That's all that happens. Although, as I said, it involves a lot more, but that's basically what happens, and I've covered the two major arms. So yeah, let's see what next week will hold. Why do I keep saying next week? Let's see what the next episode will hold for us. Thank you once again for listening. Let me sign out before I keep saying what I don't know. Bye.